Scully Productions.
What's up, Joe? What's up, everybody? Jeff Fannell, Sports360. Well, less than a week after resuming play, all eyes are on Major League Baseball. And not because of what is going on the field, but because we have our first outbreak of the coronavirus among one of its teams. As you probably know by now, the Miami Marlins recently returned 13 positive tests after their Sunday game with the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia. 11 players and 2 coaches have tested positive for the virus. This has resulted in 3 games so far being postponed. The scheduled game between the New York Yankees and the Phillies in Philadelphia last night was postponed, and the 2-game set between the Miami Marlins and the Baltimore Orioles that was scheduled in Miami has been postponed as well. As a result of these developments, Major League Baseball and the Players Union have a lot of work ahead of them. They have their hands full trying to solve this current problem. The situation raises a number of questions. First, does this place the season in jeopardy? Well, according to Commissioner Rob Manfred, the answer is no. He says he believes that the protocols that were negotiated between the union and Major League Baseball are sufficient to deal with this. And he said at some point there was expectation that there would be positive tests. And certainly that last point is right. I don't believe anyone thought that Major League Baseball would get through the 60-game season without having some issue come up with one or more of its teams. I don't know of anyone who thought it would happen this quickly. Nevertheless, Manfred has expressed confidence in the protocols and believes that this will not upend the season. One of the things to keep in mind is that as part of the resumption of play, we have expanded rosters. Each team has a pool of 60 players from which to choose in order to field a team. And the reason why we have so many players is for a situation like this one, when a number of players are not able to play because of the virus. However, 11 players is still a devastating blow to any team, and it remains to be seen just how quickly the Florida Marlins, or the Miami Marlins I should say, will be able to return to the field. Another question is, other than the Marlins, who's affected by this? Well, as we mentioned, the Philadelphia Phillies certainly are affected. They played the Marlins a 3-game set in Philadelphia. And the Phillies players and staff and others have undergone more testing and are awaiting those results. In addition, as we said, the Yankees are affected. Their game with the Phillies was postponed last night, and Yankees players now have to come into Philadelphia, occupying the same dugouts and the same clubhouse that was occupied by the Florida Marlins just this past weekend. Certainly, those facilities are being cleaned and sanitized in light of what happened with the Miami players. But in addition to the Phillies and the Yankees, of course, Baltimore is affected, but also the Atlanta Braves. Why Atlanta? Well, because prior to the season, Miami and Atlanta played in 2 exhibition games in Atlanta. Atlanta then went to play the New York Mets to start the season. So you have to add the Mets to the mix. And both those teams have traveled since their opening series, with the Atlanta Braves taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa and the New York Mets flying to Boston. So in addition to the Marlins, we have the Phillies, the Yankees, the Braves, the Mets, the Rays, and Boston as teams we have to keep an eye on. In addition to that, there was an umpiring crew for the 3-game set between the Marlins and the Phillies, and depending upon where that crew is right now, we could have another 2 teams that have to be on guard. Now, of course, every team at this stage is on guard, and every team, consistent with the protocols, is undergoing daily testing, temperature checks, and all the rest of it. But right now, obviously, things are heightened given the outbreak with the Miami Marlins. And also, too, I don't want to overlook the fact that we also have stadium crew, hotel workers, bus drivers, and others who are involved in the delivery of these games who are also affected, particularly those who were in Philadelphia this past weekend. All of this, though, just underscores the inherent danger of playing in this environment, particularly for major league players who are traveling from city to city. This underscores the risk that players, managers, coaches, and others are taking on in order to bring baseball back. It is a significant risk and one that should not be overlooked. Another question is, before the game on Sunday between the Marlins and the Phillies, the Marlins were aware that 3 players had come back positive, and yet the team discussed the matter before the game on Sunday with the Phillies, and they decided to play. So the question arises, is that the team's call? Should that be the team's call? Or should that be the call that is made by Major League Baseball? Right now, it's not clear that the protocols cover such a situation, but you can expect an adjustment to be made to those protocols to take this decision in a situation like this out of the hands of the players, out of the hands of the team, and to have that decision placed in the hands of Major League Baseball with consultation with the union, of course, as the players' representative, in deciding whether or not a game should be played. Of course, hindsight, when you look back in hindsight, you would say under no circumstances should this game have been played. But you can understand that from a player's point of view or from the team's point of view, they have to play 60 games in 66 days. And that's not counting rainouts and makeup games and the rest of it. And so the thought of getting in these games, if at all possible, is certainly something that drives the decision making. But that is an issue that has to be resolved. When you have a number of positive tests before a game, at what point is that game pulled down, and who should be making that decision? The last question we have is, where do we go from here? As I said, the Major League Baseball season resumed less than a week ago, and just a few days in, we already have an outbreak of the virus. So where do we go from here? Who knows? I mean, right now we have to await test results. We have to, right now the Marlins are still in Philadelphia. They have not left the city yet, and we're speaking to you now on Tuesday morning. They have not left Philadelphia yet. So we don't know what's going to happen with them. We don't know the test results. We're still awaiting test results from the Phillies. And of course, the other teams that we mentioned, particularly the Braves and the Mets, the Rays and the Red Sox, also have to be on alert. Because again, if you remember, a player or anyone can test positive, and yet the virus could be in an incubation period. So the player could still have the virus and just not show a positive result. So, a lot remains to be seen. It certainly is too early to tell where we go from here. There are some people saying that the baseball season is doomed. I think that certainly is premature. But right now, we have to understand, if we didn't understand before, just how dangerous this situation is. The heightened risk that players and others are undertaking in order to bring America's pastime back to its fans. It's a lot going on right now. We're going to keep our eye on it, as I'm sure a lot of people are. And as further things develop, we'll be back with you, bringing those developments as soon as we can. Until then, be good, be safe, and we'll catch you next time. Jeff Fannell, Sports 360.